Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Filipino ebook before it's gone.
Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. Kamusta? Ako si Erica. Kinagagalak kong makilala ka. Hi, I'm Erica. Nice to meet you. In this series, we're going to learn basic Filipino expressions. It's super easy and it only takes 3 minutes. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to introduce yourself in Filipino. Are you ready? Here we go. Kamusta? Ako si Erica. Kinagagalak kong makilala ka. Hi, I'm Erica. It's nice to meet you. Kamusta? Ako si Erica. Kinagagalak kong makilala ka. Did you get it? Let's take it step by step. Start by saying, Kamusta? This means, how are you? But is commonly used to say, hi in Filipino. Next, say, ako si, I am, and then your name. My name is Erica, so I'll say, ako si Erica. Finally, say, kinagagalak kong makilala ka. This means, it's nice to meet you. Kinagagalak kong makilala ka. Kamusta? Ako si Erica. Kinagagalak kong makilala ka. Next, we're going to learn how to introduce ourselves in formal Filipino. But first, I'll teach you 2 words that turns any Filipino sentence formal. They are po and opo. Po, opo. All Filipinos learn these 2 words when they are young because they are a must when speaking politely to those who are older. Now here's how to introduce yourself in formal Filipino. Kamusta po? Ako si Erica Reyes. Kinagagalak ko po kayong makilala. How are you? I'm Erica Reyes. It's nice to meet you. Kamusta po? Ako si Erica Reyes. Kinagagalak ko po kayong makilala. Did you notice the word po in this introduction? Let's compare it with the informal introduction we learned earlier. First, we have kamusta po instead of just kamusta. As we've said before, kamusta means how are you and has essentially the same use as hi in English. It comes from the Spanish phrase ¿Cómo está? We add the word po to this to make it polite. For the next sentence, there is no need to change ako si or I am. However, saying your full name is considered more formal. In the Philippines, we say our first names first and last names last. Finally, pay attention to the ending. We went from kinagagalak kong makilala ka to kinagagalak ko po kayong makilala. Ka or you is changed to the plural pronoun kayo to make the sentence more formal. The pronoun is moved to the front of the verb, and NG is added to connect the words. Finally, we also add po to the sentence to show respect. One more time. The informal way to introduce yourself in Filipino is, Kamusta? Ako si Erica. Kinagagalak kong makilala ka. The formal way to introduce yourself is, Kamusta po? Ako si Erica Reyes. Kinagagalak ko po kayong makilala. Now it's time for Erica's tips. Have you gotten hold of saying, kinagagalak kong makilala ka? Well, you might be surprised, but Filipinos say, nice to meet you, more often than its Filipino counterpart. This is because many English words and phrases are used in daily conversation since English is the second official language of the Philippines. Filipinos also shake hands during first meetings, just like in many Western cultures. But of course, if you use the proper Filipino introduction, Your new Filipino friends will definitely be impressed. Do you know how to say thank you in Filipino? How about you're welcome? Watch the next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson to find out. See you next time. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Filipino. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. Handa na ba kayo? Are you ready? Then let's go. Here's how we say thank you in Filipino. It's very easy. Salamat. Salamat. Salamat means thank you. When saying thank you very much, you just need to add maraming. Maraming salamat. Maraming salamat. Marami means a lot, and the NG is a connector added to marami to connect marami and salamat. Maraming salamat literally means many thanks and is equivalent to thank you very much. During the last lesson, we mentioned the informal and formal way of speaking Filipino. Salamat is the informal way to thank someone. When thanking someone older than you need to use the polite formal form. Do you remember what we need in order to do that? That's right. We just need to add the word po. Salamat po. Salamat po. If you really want to thank someone in a formal setting, you can add maraming, which means a lot, as we have just learned. Maraming salamat po. Maraming salamat po. Now, how do you answer? It's easy. Just say, walang anuman. Walang anuman. Walang anuman literally means it's nothing, but it is the equivalent of you are welcome. Wala means nothing, while anuman stands for whatsoever. It is a very common phrase to say when replying to a friend or a stranger who is thanking you. To make it formal and more polite, just add po. Walang anuman po. Walang anuman po. So when someone says salamat or maraming salamat po to you, you can simply reply with walang anuman or walang anuman po. Yes, it's that easy. Now it's time for Erica's tips. The word salamat is said to have been of Semitic origin. It sounds similar to the Arabic salam and the Hebrew shalom, meaning peace. Filipino has been influenced by many languages throughout history, so don't be surprised if you find similar sounding words from other languages, most especially Spanish words. Do you know that Filipinos have a specific greeting during the noontime? In our next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson, you learn this and other greetings in Filipino. See you next time. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the last lesson, we learned how to be grateful to people by saying salamat. In this lesson, we'll learn some of the most common greetings used in the Philippines. Handa na ba kayo? Are you ready? Then let's start. First, we'll learn the greetings we use when meeting people. Kamusta? Kamusta. Do you remember this from the first lesson? Kamusta literally means, how are you? But it is used as hi or hello. Musta is a shortened version of kamusta, which you can use when greeting friends. Musta, for formal situations, we use kamusta po. Kamusta po. Now, Here are sometimes specific greetings used when meeting people. Magandang araw. Magandang araw. Literally, magandang araw means good day. To be more specific about which time in the day we greet someone, we use magandang umaga, magandang tanghali, and magandang hapon, meaning good morning, good noon, and good afternoon respectively. Magandang umaga. Magandang tanghali. Magandang hapon. During the evening, there is only one greeting, and that is magandang gabi. Magandang gabi. Maganda means beautiful or good. The connector NG is added to connect maganda and gabi. In formal situations, you just need to add po to the Filipino greetings I've already mentioned. Magandang araw po, magandang umaga po, magandang tanghali po, magandang hapon po, magandang gabi po. Are you ready for more? Next are some greetings we use when leaving. To say goodbye in Filipino, we say paalam. Paalam. We also have sige mauna na ako. Literally, all right, I'll go ahead. And it's a more casual way of saying goodbye. Sige mauna na ako. Finally, we have hanggang sa muli, meaning see you again. Hanggang sa muli. Again, to make these formal, we just need to add po. Paalam po. Sige, mauna na po ako. Hanggang sa muli po. Now you can greet people in many different ways in Filipino. Let's review them all again. Here are the greetings we use when meeting people. Kamusta? Magandang araw. Magandang umaga. Magandang tanghali. Magandang hapon. Magandang gabi. When leaving, we have paalam. Sige, mauna na ako. Hanggang sa muli. For greeting people who are older than you, just add po. It's easy, isn't it? Now it's time for Erica's tips. Another famous greeting you might hear in the Philippines is mabuhay. This literally means live, but it's used to mean welcome. It is used in formal situations like when welcoming an audience during events, or when welcoming people into the country, but not necessarily when welcoming guests to your home. During the next lesson, we'll learn the meaning of the phrase, nagsasalita ka ba ng Ingles? Do you already know it? I'll be waiting to talk about it with you in our next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the last lesson, we learned the most common greetings in Filipino. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we're going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? This phrase can be a lifesaver. The majority of Filipino people understand English. But if you ask in Filipino, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you're saying, even if their answer is no. Here's the informal way to ask it. Nagsasalita ka ba ng Ingles? Nagsasalita ka ba ng Ingles? Let's break down the sentence. In Filipino, the verb can come before the subject. Nagsasalita means speaking, followed by ka, which means you. Next, there is ba, which is the question marking particle. After it comes nang, which acts as an object marking particle, marking Ingles, which, as you might have guessed, is English. Another common way to ask if someone can speak English is, marunong ka bang mag-Ingles? Literally, this means, can you do English? Marunong ka bang mag-Ingles? Now we're going to make these sentences formal. Filipinos follow the Spanish custom of changing a singular pronoun to plural in order to show respect in formal situations, so we change ka to kayo and then move it after ba. We also need to add po as a sign of respect. Everything else stays the same. Nagsasalita po ba kayo ng Ingles? Marunong po ba kayong mag-Ingles? Nagsasalita po ba kayo ng Ingles? Marunong po ba kayong mag-Ingles? If you want to be even more formal, you can add mawalang galang lang po before the sentence. It means, excuse me. Mawalang galang lang po. Nagsasalita po ba kayo ng Ingles? Excuse me, do you speak English? Mawalang galang lang po. Marunong po ba kayong mag-Ingles? Here are some common responses you might hear. Oo. Yes. Oo. Konti. A little. Konti. Hindi. No. Hindi. Now it's time for Erica's tips. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can use this question with any language you need. Just substitute Ingles with Español for Spanish, Hapon for Japanese, Italiano for Italian, Aleman for German, and so on. Now you know how to ask if people speak English or even your native language. But I hope this doesn't stop you from learning Filipino. We'll be learning more ways to say excuse me and I'm sorry in our next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the last lesson, we learned the phrase, mawalang galang lang po. Nagsasalita po ba kayo ng Ingles? Excuse me, do you speak English? We mentioned the phrase, mawalang galang lang po, which means, excuse me, in formal Filipino. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to use this and other words when apologizing in Filipino. We can use mawalang galang lang po when we need to stop someone to ask a question. It literally means just to be rude, but is used to mean excuse me. For example, mawalang galang lang po, nasaan po ang palengke? Excuse me, where is the market? Mawalang galang lang po, nasaan po ang palengke? There is another phrase we use to mean excuse me, and that is paumanhin po. However, paumanhin po is used when you have bothered someone and could also mean I'm sorry. Paumanhin po. We use mawalang galang lang po and paumanhin po exclusively for formal situations. For informal situations, Filipinos usually just say, excuse me. But if there is something you really want to apologize for, it might be better to use a different phrase. That phrase is, patawarin mo ako. It means, please forgive me, and is used in informal situations. Patawarin mo ako. In formal situations, we say, patawarin niyo po ako. Patawarin niyo po ako. Here we added po and turned the second person pronoun into plural. Another common phrase Filipinos use for apologizing is, pasensya na po kayo. Pasensya na po kayo. This phrase is usually heard from shopkeepers when apologizing to customers. It can be translated as, "Please be patient with us." Now it's time for Erica's tips. In the Philippines, it is normal to simply say, "Excuse me," or "I'm sorry," since English is commonly used in conversation. You could also add po to these phrases to make them sound a bit more formal and sincere. "Excuse me po," or "Excuse po," "I'm sorry po," or "Sorry po." Are you able to count in Filipino? In the next lesson, we will learn the numbers in Filipino from 1 to 19. I'll be waiting for you in our next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the last lesson, we learned quite a few phrases used when apologizing in Filipino. In this lesson, we are going to learn numbers in Filipino. That's right, numbers, mga numero. And you are going to learn them in only 3 minutes, 3 minuto. Are you ready? Let's start. Isa. Isa. Dalawa. Dalawa. Tatlo. Tatlo. Apat. Apat. Lima. Lima. Anim. Anim. Pito. Pito. Walo. Walo. Siyam. Siyam. Sampu. Sampu. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. Isa. Dalawa. Tatlo. Apat. Lima. Anim. Pito. Walo. Siyam. Sampu. Great job! Try to remember these numbers by heart because you'll see them again in bigger numbers. Do you know what is before isa? Here's a clue. It's almost the same as in English. It's zero. Zero. Now let's continue from 11. Labing isa. Labing isa. Labindalawa. Labindalawa. Labintatlo. Labintatlo. Labing apat. Labing apat. Labinlima. Labinlima. Labing anim. Labing anim. Labimpito. Labimpito. Labing walo. Labing walo. Labinsyam. Labinsyam. These numbers may seem longer and harder to remember, but they basically follow a simple rule, which is labi plus connector plus the numbers 1 to 9. In Filipino, the connector is usually NA if the letter before it is a consonant, and NG if the letter before it is a vowel. In this case, since labi ends with I, then we'll be using the NG connector. However, NG sometimes changes its form depending on the letter that follows it. For the letters D, L, R, S, and T, the G from NG is dropped to make it easier to pronounce. Labindalawa, labintatlo, labinlima, and labinsyam. If a P follows the NG connector, the NG becomes an M, just like in labimpito. Now it's time for Erica's tips. Filipinos don't exclusively use the Filipino way of counting. As I've said before, English is commonly used in the Philippines, so it is very common for us to count in English as well. But that's not all. Sometimes, we even use the Spanish way of counting, especially when telling the time. Now you know how to count up to 11. But why stop there? Next time, we'll learn more about numbers. Do you know the Filipino word for 100? Find out in the next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the last lesson, we learned the numbers from 1 to 11. Do you remember them? Well, let's not stop there. Now I'll give you the tens. 20. 20. 30. 30. 40. 40. 50. 50. 60. 60. 70. 70. 80. 80. 90. 90. Just like 11 to 19 from the last lesson, the tens also has a common formula. It is the numbers 1 to 9 plus connector plus pu. As I mentioned, the connector is usually NA if the letter before it is a consonant and NG if the letter before it is a vowel. I also mentioned that if a P follows the NG connector, then it becomes an M. Now here's one more thing. If the vowel before M is an O, then that also changes and becomes a U. Just like in 30, 70, and so on. Finally, one last thing to note is that for the number 10, we say 10 and not 10. Are you ready to try making compound numbers out of the numbers we've learned? I promise it's easier. How would you say 56 in Filipino? Let's take it step by step. 50 is 50. Just add and, at, in its contracted form, and then 6, anim. So it will be 56. Done. Isn't that easy? Let's try another number. For instance, 98. Take 90, 90, and add at, in its contracted form, then 8, 8. 98. Ready for more challenge? How do we say 100 in Filipino? It is 100. That is, isa, which is 1, followed by the connector NG, then daan, which is 100. Now let's try counting up to 999. For compound numbers in the hundreds, the formula is numbers 1 to 9 plus connector plus daan plus numbers 20 to 99. For example, 169 is 169. One thing to note is that daan becomes raan when the NA connector is used. For example, 492. 492. For compound numbers with 1 to 19, you have to add an at after saying the 100. For example, 401 is 400 at isa. And now it's time for Erica's tips. Conjugation may be the trickiest part in learning Filipino, but it is done mostly to make sentences sound more natural and easier to pronounce. So don't worry if you can't nail it down yet. People will still understand you. Just keep practicing and you'll get the hang of it. Can you believe it? After only 2 lessons, you can now count up to 999 in Filipino. In the next lesson, we are going to put your number knowledge to use. Do you have all the skills you need to go shopping in the Philippines? Let's learn it together in the next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson. Hanggang sa muli! Kamusta kayo? Ako si Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. Welcome to FilipinoPod101.com's Filipino sa 3 minuto. The fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Filipino. In the previous lessons, we learned how to count in Filipino. I hope you spent some time practicing the numbers because they will come in handy today. We're going to learn how to go shopping in the Philippines. Before we go, you need to know how to say, how much is this? Magkano ito? Magkano ito? Are you ready to go shopping in the Philippines? Let's go! You see something you like and want to ask the shop clerk how much it costs. First, you might want to say either ate, older sister, or kuya, older brother. It's common in the Philippines to call a sales clerk ate or kuya to show respect to them. Ate, magkano ito? Kuya, magkano ito? Magkano means how much, and ito means this. To be more polite, you just add po to the phrase. Ate, magkano po ito? Kuya, magkano po ito? If you want to be more specific when asking, how much is this, and refer to a certain type of object, we need to add the connector ng to ito, and then the object that you want to buy. For example, a hat is sombrero. Ate, magkano po itong sombrero? Or, Kuya, magkano po itong sombrero? How much is this hat? Ate, magkano po itong sombrero? Kuya, magkano po itong sombrero? The shopkeeper will usually answer by simply saying the price. 100 piso po. Or even the price without the peso. 100 po. You might also hear them use the word lang, meaning only, or just, to imply that the price is cheap. For example, 100 piso lang po. 100 lang po. What is 100? I'm not telling you. Okay, it's 100. The hat costs 100 pesos. Now it's time for Erica's tips. It is common to haggle in Philippine bargain markets, so when buying, don't forget to say, may bawas pa po, meaning, is there a discount? Just remember, it's easier to get discounts if you're polite, so don't forget those pos. Happy shopping! At this point, can you count pesos in Filipino? We are going to learn how to do this and much more in the next lesson. I'll see you in the next Filipino sa 3 minuto lesson. Hanggang sa muli!
Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2,000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Filipino ebook before it's gone.